Welcome back to another episode of In Good Company. Our guest today, you're a chef, you're a Colorado guy. You can describe, what else do you do? You're an entrepreneur, chef.
Nailed it.
Boom. And he's a fellow Coloradan.
It's okay to be one thing these days. I
Yeah.
feel like everyone's like
Yeah,
10
I'm a
things.
multi-hyphenate.
It's okay.
I'm a citizen of the world. I'm a lover.
We also knew each other 12 years. Like, it's wild that, because when I went to your house for the going away party, we were like, wait a minute. And we were like, wait, New York City, that was 12 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Wild.
I know.
And then we're both from Colorado. So sick.
Full circle.
Full circle. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
man. Thank you for hanging out with us, bro.
I'm thrilled.
Yeah,
I'm stoked.
So excited.
I'm also, it's funny looking at our shoes because Jeremiah was just bagging on clogs the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these things are like my house slippers.
Those look so comfy. I got to get some of those.
Yeah, they're nice. I like them.
I like those more than the buckle.
Oh, you don't, the buckles.
The buckle just throws me. It sends me.
But my
get the
toes aren't
he
showing.
basically got he's got house slides on. Like
Those are sick.
Well, I just came from the gym and I was like, I was
Yeah.
going to put on my boots. I was like, I'm going to put on my boots. No one's going to see my feet.
Maybe we're gonna see the feet.
No one's
Nah.
seeing my feet. So, let the shoes be a mystery.
Yeah, that's the buckles, man.
The buckles.
We'll throw them away after.
Well, it'll be our 5-star.
I was thinking about just not wearing shoes.
Wait, so you were in New York for acting?
I was in New York
You were
for
in New
acting.
York were you there? Or,
Yeah, I've always been in food. So
Yeah,
I was cooking.
So
I think,
I-
I mean,
I
I
was
was
at-
I was doing some restaurant consulting stuff.
I was at Baby's All Right, which is our mutual friend Ronnie
Yeah.
was running. I think their food and bev, right?
Yeah.
And-
I mean, I helped him open that thing up. I mean, to some extent. But
He hired me strictly because of what I looked like. He was like, because I bartended there, and he was like, "You can't make a drink,
Right.
but people are gonna come to the bar to order from you." I was the world's worst.
That's a
bartender.
talent, too.
And
I loved it. I loved now. All right, this is all coming.
Yeah, and
that's
Ronnie was
great.
like, "You suck at bartending, but you're a good-looking."
There's
guy,
just
so
no
we're gonna
way
put
you'd
you
be a
out
good
there."
bartender because
What a scene.
you love to talk to everybody. You wouldn't be making anybody's
I made
drink.
0 drinks, and when I did, Ronnie was like, "You need to charge people."
Can you imagine this guy as a bartender?
I never charged
Oh,
anybody.
man.
If you were my friend and you came in, I didn't charge you for anything.
But that's like the pleasure of being a bartender.
yeah,
Facts.
my sales would be like $100 a night.
Like,
I was
you're
just giving
a
them-
high performer.
On Judah's shift, they were losing money.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
for sure.
So they're making up in other ways, I'm sure.
He knows me. I love to cook. I'm not like a professional chef or anything, but I like absolutely love it. I really get into it. He's been over many times for dinners. Did you come out of like high school, college, or just come out of school and wanted to be a chef? Like, how does one, what's the mentality? It's just like, I want to be a chef.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of. I was 13, 14. I read Kitchen Confidential, like so many people. Anthony Bourdain's book.
Right.
I got a job working in it wasn't a good restaurant, but I like had pulled a favor from a family friend, and I worked all through high school. A few years at this Italian restaurant, then I went over to a Japanese restaurant and kind of like cut my chops there. But it was incredible. It was a great community outside of my high school experience, which was, we all have our own kind of unique high school experiences, but it was nice to feel like I had a life outside of that. I simultaneously developed, this kind of more intimate relationship with food through some things that were going on with my family. It was a way that I could contribute. It was a way that I could give back.
And did your family cook a lot, or you just?
Yeah,
like,
my parents
okay.
cooked for
Yeah.
sure. And like during more difficult times, there's a few things that were happening. I was just able to like show up, and it was something that I could give, right? When so many other things were kind of
It's
out
like your
of
active
control.
service. It's like, I can.
Yeah, and made people happy.
Yeah.
Right?
It does. Right? Yeah.
And my parents are health practitioners, alternative health practitioners,
awesome.
and so there was always kind of this interplay between food and medicine, and food as medicine, and kind of like the sanctity of our family dinner and the ritual around cooking and spending quality time with my family in the kitchen. And then I kind of started becoming good at it. I was cooking quasi professionally, although I was a young kid. I was taking culinary classes in high school, did some competitions.
See, that's
And-
Wait, really?
Yeah, I did culinary
Colorado?
competitions. Yeah.
That's really
Well,
unique to know at such a young age, like what you want that early. Like 13, 14, you're kind of like, you're kind of building this thing that you love.
Yeah.
Like that's like, I mean, obviously I was in basketball, so I kind of knew obviously too, but it's like, sports are sports. You kind of like,
Yeah.
For most people, it's like, are you really going to make it or not? But like, I feel like being a chef is such a unique like practice or unique, job. I mean, that's just so cool to know.
It was cool. It's not necessarily the most glamorous path, right? I think people think it's a lot cooler than maybe it really is. But I knew that I wanted to do something in food. And I was burnt out on academics after high school. So I went to culinary school. I went to the CIA, which was, 2 years of hard work and really like learning, working, and it was in New York, and working in professional kitchens. That's where I met Ron at this restaurant called Boulet. And then I very quickly was like, okay, this is great. I don't want to, brunoise shallots for the rest of my life.
Right.
I need to figure out how to kind of self-actualize and participate in food, but in my own way. So I went to hotel school. I went to Cornell, and that kind of opened my eyes into this world of entrepreneurship and thinking about food through a variety of, avenues and lenses. And my career kind of unfolded from there.
The non-glamorous part of cooking or being in a kitchen, what is like for your everyday person who has no idea what it's like to be in the kitchen?
Super
we see like the bear,
Yeah.
right? Like the bear is like our closest reference to your average person. Is it just like is it like shining spoons and
Like you just said, chopping
chopping
shallots
a million
for 8 hours.
onions?
I mean, I think it depends. So, for example, it depends where you are on, the hierarchy.
Yeah.
As a young cook in New York City, working at a fine dining restaurant, it was gnarly.
Yeah.
Like I would get to the kitchen at 8 a.m. I would set up everything. I'd set up the cutting boards and I'd turn on certain, pots and get things going. I would work until 2 to 3 in the morning.
Whoa.
Whoa.
And I would commute back to Brooklyn. I lived with other cooks. I'd wake up and I would do it again and again and again. And I did it for, I think the longest stretch I did was maybe 21 days without a day off.
So you're getting
so-
what, 5 hours
So no
of
one,
sleep?
no one hears from you. Like,
So
you're
like,
just-
I mean, like maybe
Yeah.
2, like, sure, maybe midnight on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Like, there was different days. I would say the 2, 3 is like the
Man,
latest it's going. That's max. But
That's intense.
it was a lot,
Yeah,
right?
it
And
is a
I
lot.
very quickly realized like, okay, this is not the environment that is for me. And so, that was one of the restaurants. The other, was a little bit more manageable, but it's pressurized. You're spending the day running around at first, you're just someone's bitch. Like you're getting people anything and everything that they want. You're doing the least glamorous and least exciting work. You're, maybe getting to cook a little bit. And then once you sort of, your trust has been earned, then you can start doing more interesting things.
And that could take months,
months.
years,
Yeah,
right?
and
to earn the trust to like stop, prepping and then get in there.
And I think the industry has changed a lot
Yeah.
in the last few years. I mean, there was like some social movements that really moved it forward in a direction, that's more healthy, but it was intense, and it was a very, very intense environment.
So whoever you work for is important because I'm assuming that could go one way or the other in terms of their personality and being in the kitchen pressurized like that. Like, we know all these stories.
Yeah.
We've seen the movie Burn with
they're
Bradley
assholes.
Cooper.
Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
Like I can see them being quite intense assholes.
Or taking
It is.
like
joy
the head
out
chef,
of it,
you
right?
know?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's so much learning. Like the positive is so much learning through
Yeah.
osmosis. You're watching, you're smelling, you're observing. You carry a notebook.
That's
Always had a
hard.
notebook. You're writing all your notes. You're taking everything in. I mean, I still have my notebooks. I've like probably 8 of them
Oh, no way.
From day one.
from day one, through
Wow.
all the different experiences I've had,
That's
and
dope.
like it's cool. And I look back at them sometimes, and I think that was a very formative experience. I really learned what hard work was.
Mm.
Like when you work that long, that much, you sweep the floor and you scrub the fucking stoves. We weren't allowed to use soapy water. Like you could just use these grill pads, and it was a whole thing.
It's humbling
Whoa.
work.
So humbling.
Yeah.
So then when I ended up going to Cornell to hotel school, I was like, okay, I can sit and study for like 12 hours. This is great. This is so this is so easy relative. I get to
Mm.
flex this different part of my, my brain. And then from there, I started to kind of gather, okay, well, what are the places in food that I can make a difference? How can I show up and be a positive contributor to the world? What kind of sets my soul on fire? What is going to work well for me to, to grow? And I had a variety of really interesting experiences. Everything from, working, I guess I graduated, I did a restaurant consulting job that was like way too corporate. I
Mm.
quit, moved out to the Hamptons with a buddy. We were doing catering and special events, started popping this popcorn, wanted to raise money for it, didn't get funded, but got a job working for this food private equity group that was doing organic food brands. Took me all around the world, coconut sugar in Bali, kale chips in Bucks County, Pennsylvania,
Oh, wow.
you know, working on product and saying like, okay, well, you know, agriculture. That was where I first really started connecting to, you know, food, this like food agriculture opportunity.
And also, these culinary shaping experience for you are also making you a better cook and better chef because they're expanding your palate and your understanding of food altogether.
Totally. And I think,
Yeah.
you know, for me, it's like, I just love food. So like, I don't need to be the world's best chef. I don't need to be like, I just want, it's such a beautiful joy of life. And to be able to have my hands in it in a variety of ways is such a blessing. And I'm excited to continue, you know, to see how that unfolds.
Yeah.
But, you know, I went from kind of this product side to then doing some private chef work to then going on Anthony Bourdain's cooking competition, which was a season of
How was that?
competition. I mean, it was a dream come true for me, right? I was a 22-year-old. He was the guy who got me into food.
So you got to
I
meet
had this-
Bourdain and the whole.
Yeah, I did this show that was called The Taste. This was now like 11 or 12 years ago.
Whoa.
It was called The Taste, which was on ABC. And it was Anthony Bourdain, Nigel Lawson, Ludo.
Oh yeah,
Who
from,
was still
yeah.
ripping.
Yeah.
And Marcus Samuelson. And it was a whole season. It was the first extended period of time I spent in LA. I lived at the Westin LAX.
Was it a
airport
pretty
hotel.
intense show? Because Ludo, like I've heard, like he's an intense chef to work for.
Or Petit
I
Soir,
mean,
Ludo?
Yeah, Ludo from Toimec and Petit Trois.
yeah, I mean, look, like for me, it was intense. I'm on TV.
Yeah.
I'd never been on TV before. Like, you know, like there's cameras, there's all these people, there's all this
Is it
shit.
pressurized? Like,
Oh my God, it's so
take us behind the
pressurized.
scenes of
Bro.
of like a chopped, like
Yeah,
a
because
like a
I have
taste.
no
of-
concept of it. Can you
I
not
mean-
see other people like
So
you're
what-
on set and then you're in a hotel room?
What did you have to do?
So, I mean, this was a season, right? So this
Oh.
was like, you know, I ended up being there for a month. I won the show. So I made it
Wow.
all the way to the end. But, you know, it was also long days. It was 4 a.m. wake up, you know, and it was the first time I really gave something like my all.
Mm.
Like I was locked in. At first I was like, oh, I'll share my message, you know, this will be cool. And then I was like, oh, fuck. I can actually, like, I think I can like take this thing,
Mm.
you know, and there's some money involved and I was able to like pay off my student loans. And like, it was really
And
transformative
the
for me.
concept of the season, like, what did you have to win? What did you have to do?
So it's kind of like The Voice, if that
Oh,
makes sense. So
wow.
there's
Got
like
it.
4 teams. So you get like, out of all the people, you get picked and then there's 4 teams and each of those judges has a team. And then you're doing like a team competition and then an individual competition.
So who was
And
your
then-
person?
So so I chose Marcus. I had made a good dish and I had my, you know, my choice. And I loved Bourdain, but I thought in the moment, I guess, I don't know, I kind of blacked out during the whole thing, but that he was probably the best kind of like mentor for me to win.
Mm.
Like he had the most real culinary experience. Bourdain, incredible, but like certainly a storyteller.
Yeah,
Right,
one of the
and-
best ever.
Yeah, the best
One of
ever.
the
You
best
know,
ever.
like yeah, exactly. Ludo, great chef. His persona is erratic, at least on
Yeah.
at least on, you know, on TV.
Learn a
Not
lot,
something
have a
that-
lot of trauma.
Right, that like doesn't work for me. And then, you know, Nigella is a great, you know, home cook and cookbook author and all these things. But Marcus to me was like, dude, this guy is really, you know, dedicated to the craft for his whole life. And
I'm
so
picking Stanley Tucci to be mine.
yeah, there you go.
just because I
The
just want to
Tuccinator,
be
dude.
around him. Like,
But his videos and
I want to be around Stanley
Right.
Tucci too. Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna get glasses and shit. I want to be Stanley Tucci.
are
well,
we
the cool
ready?
thing I wanted to bring this up is when we've talked about it, like the high end dining compared to like the Anthony Bourdain style of like you could find the best dish in the middle of a shopping mall
Yeah.
in some little neighborhood.
Yeah,
And how fine dining is kind of like, I mean, you said it was like a one night stand. You're good. You do it once and then you're good.
totally,
And
totally.
the white
I agree.
glove
Yeah.
service. I kind of like the
Yeah.
really good food in this little hole in the wall spot, which
I think that for
If
me,
it was really good, I'll run it back one more time.
yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, at least once.
tastes so good.
I mean, I think to me, food is always it's context.
Mm.
So wherever we are, like the context is the experience, right? I mean, like something that tastes good in the middle of winter at some, you know, grandma's house in the Alps.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be very different if you're having it, you know, right now.
And also who you're
Yeah.
with. Like I
Totally.
think completely improves your experience typically,
Yeah.
right? Like I remember me and my family were fortunate enough, we went to Ravello, Italy, like up in the hills of kind of Positano. And we went to this like old winery. We walk in, it's just like a private tour, it's just us. And it's just this family of like, 3 or 4 women, all in their like 60s and 70s, cooking us a meal. And then the main head winemaker, he comes down, he eats with us. And like, it was such a beautiful experience. Like, it wasn't like going to French Laundry or something, but it was
Right.
absolutely wonderful. And like, I always remember that,
Yeah.
the food plus just like sharing those experiences with other people,
I completely agree. I have a mentor who always says this. His name's Alan Lim, and one of his things is like, it's not what you eat, but who you eat with. And I fully agree. I've completely embodied that. And I think the further that I've gotten from, the Gabe that was chopping shallots in the fine dining restaurants in New York,
Yeah.
the more that I've realized, like, I don't fucking care. Like, the food needs to be good. You need to I want quality ingredients.
doubt.
I don't want to eat shit.
Yeah.
But like, when I'm going to dine, the food is just one part of what makes the memory.
Yeah.
And I think to take it a little less seriously is a little bit more freeing. And, now being, right, like a restaurant, owner, it's one important component, but it's really how does everything come together, right? What's the energy? What's the lighting? How's the service? The music. I mean, and that's a thing that we should talk about, because for me, food and music has always been a through line. I was like, oh, I'm either going to study food or I'm going to study music. And then when I was living with Ron and obviously Babies was opening, that was like the first blend of food and music.
It was so cool because you have a great show going on and the music to
Exactly.
match the vibe.
And that's what we have now at Checker Hall and Lodge Room. I mean, music is an integral part of the restaurant programming, but we also have a 500 person, independent cap music venue that is, intimately interwoven with the experience. So
I mean, part of my like checklist for like a good coffee shop, if you're not playing bangers in there when I walk in, I'm probably not running the back. Like, unless I'm in like a pinch and I need like a quick,
Sure.
grab and go. But for me, like, I agree with you completely. Like, music is so important for, I think, like a dining establishment or a cafe. Like, you don't need to be, just play some vibes. Like, just
Yep.
totally.
It's not good enough just to have good coffee or good food. Like, that's part of it. But like, it's vibe, it's experience, it's energy, like you said.
The energy.
And music is a huge part of that, especially for me.
I mean, when
I
I go
agree.
out to eat, my favorite restaurant I go to all the time is Marvin. Everybody in there, I look around and everyone's just vibing.
Vibing.
Yeah,
Like the
everybody.
vibes are so high,
yeah.
All the
and the
time.
food's not. It's good food,
It's
like
good
you
food.
said, but it's not like white, super fancy. But the vibes are always happy and fun, and it makes the
Yeah.
whole experience way
That's
better.
it. I mean, and I think to your both of your points, like fancy food, like I can only eat that so often.
Yeah. for
Right.
sure.
And sometimes I'm like,
You leave hungry.
Well, there's this interesting thing where I think it's like, do you intellectualize food, right? So the intellectual component of fine dining is very right? It's interesting, it's stimulating. Oh, I've never thought of these flavors. Oh, I've never had this texture. Oh, like that's very cool
Yeah.
to explore. But it's oftentimes for me not delicious. And so I think that, and I would even say it's kind of like film for me. I think it's the same thing. There can be an award-winning film, and I'm like, this was boring as fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry,
'cause
Nomad
it's
Land
not-
or whatever, Nomadland, Nomad.
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
kind of
if
like,
I didn't-
was like,
yeah.
come on,
Yeah,
give me
Francis
a break. What am
McDermott's
I-
great.
Sure, okay, whatever. I'm like, this is so not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But like intellectually, culturally, like it makes a statement. It's interesting. It's important. But it wasn't a delicious film.
Yeah.
You know what I
No.
mean?
The
I'm like,
rewatchability, as you would say, not there.
Zero.
Mad Max Fury Road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
which
Yeah,
I was.
strap me in. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm like, yeah. I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, that is like that is crazy. And so I think that like that's kind of how food lives in a similar space for me, where you can intellectualize it and you can have art and you can really have this like, experience around it that is unique and interesting and makes a statement. And then on the other side, you can have something that's just like really, really delicious. And they're not mutually exclusive,
It's true.
but I often find that they kind of
It's so
do
interesting
fall
'cause
into
there's,
two
there's
categories.
foods like movies that the rewatchability for me, like if it's there, I'm getting it. I'm
Yeah.
watching it.
Yeah.
Like you with Shawshank, if it's on TV, you're watching it.
Watching it,
There's
yeah.
things at restaurants where I'll go. I'm like, this is like a bolognese. Whenever I'm at a hotel somewhere traveling, I get a bolognese.
So that's
It's
what I was
like
going
my
to ask.
Thing.
What do you got? What are you like when you go to a restaurant? Like, what is the thing you have to order?
When I go to a
You
restaurant,
see it on a menu, you got to order it.
Ooh.
Mine would be a bolognese. It's like my
Yours is a bolognese.
staple. I love it.
Honestly, I love fried zucchini flowers with the ricotta and like the. It's
The
like
little-
I love it. If I can get my hands on a good one,
You love the
Someone just
squash
ate at
blossom.
Funky.
squash blossoms are my jam. But like squash blossoms are hard to come by. Like people don't fry them right.
Sure.
The texture, like it needs to crunch. It needs to be salted. Like
Uh-huh.
it's just. I feel like it's trickier.
Okay.
Maybe for other places to do it right.
Yeah.
But Evan Funke, man, that dude crushes squash blossoms. He's one of my.
That is one of the
favorites that I've
best
been to.
dishes there besides their focaccia. The focaccia there is.
But like you get the
Crazy.
squash blossoms at Felix, you get them at Mother Wolf, you get them at Funke. Like not necessarily my favorite restaurants, but they do a couple of things really well
Yeah.
there. The squash blossoms there are my favorite I've had in the city at least.
Yeah,
What's-
I'm gonna
what's your
go-
thing
go
when you're
snag a
traveling?
squash blossom.
What's your
Go
thing
hit
that
a
you
blossom.
always like your go-to?
I don't know. I mean, part of the reason I ask is because I'm trying to figure it out.
yeah. And mine, but it changes too,
Yeah,
though. Like
It changes.
It changes.
Yeah.
I
for me.
always love like a chicories or like an endive kind of thing. I always think that's really good.
I
for
love an
me.
endive salad.
Horses has a fire one.
You know, I always appreciate like a dip. You know,
He
I
had me
don't
try this
I
spinach
don't-
dip the other day. It was incredible.
I don't really order pasta.
What's
Like,
the
I'll tell you
thing?
that's something I
What's the
don't
thing
do.
that you order to like decide if the restaurant's good or not? Like for me, Tex-Mex, it's like I know that if they number one don't have queso, or like I know that
Yeah.
if the beans and rice aren't good, like never
Facts.
coming back. What is it
Facts.
like when you go to a restaurant and you're like, let me test this. This is how I know it's good.
Well, I think it depends on the restaurant. Like, you know, because I like eating food that I typically am not like cooking at home. So I love going out and eating like, I don't know, like not white people food. Right. So like I'm like, you know what I mean? Like I'm going to go hit some Indian. I'm going to go like
Some
eat
Thai
some
food,
Thai. I'm going to go
yeah.
Vietnamese. I'm going to
Yeah.
go like Filipino or, you know, Laotian food. Like those are the things. And I'm kind of like, I'll just get down with whatever.
Mercy of the chef.
I think but that's why I don't often frequent Italian restaurants because I know
feel
the
that.
margin of pasta. That's why I
Yeah.
don't order it.
Mm,
I'm like, I
yeah.
don't really want to pay $30.
Taking my Valentine's
for-
to one on Friday.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's good. You'll have a great time. You'll have a great time. I mean, there's nothing more romantic.
That's what I'm
Italy's done a
saying.
great job branding.
So the only reason I'm taking my Valentine on Friday to Italian, because like Italian is like in my head, it's like embedded romantic. It's like
Totally.
warm. It's like, you know, we're gonna go home and, you know, chill afterwards.
And dare I say, chicks love Italian.
It's
Like, I don't know if I've ever met a
I'm a
babe who
basic bitch.
doesn't like Italian.
I love it.
I've always, right? Like, every babe likes Italian. I don't know.
You can't go wrong with it. Mostly, you know.
I think like it's just so interesting. I mean, I was listening to something a while ago where, you know, okay, you go to a restaurant, cacio e pepe, it's $30. Like it's pasta water, Parmesan, pasta, some black pepper. I'm like, this is $30. Okay, okay. And then you go and you have like a bowl of pho or right, like a soup, and I mean
Something
this-
you're not making at home.
yeah, but this bowl of pho, it's a stock that's been simmering for the last 24 hours. It has raw beef, it has brisket, it has little meatballs, it has fresh herbs, it comes
Yeah.
with lemon, like lime, and it's $15.
Yeah.
And like it's just so interesting how I think the Italians have done a great job branding.
Bro, I was
It's top dog in most cities.
eating at
Yeah,
Funky, bro. I was
people
looking
love
at
it.
the pasta prices, bro. I was like, what is happening here, bro? My pasta, it started at $40.
Yeah, but you're
That's
paying.
insane.
You're paying for like
I had a pesto pasta.
history of
It was like
making 'em.
$46. I looked at it, I was like,
That's offensive.
I was like,
Yeah.
what is happening?
It's
That's
not a
offensive
steak.
to
It's
me.
not a rare piece of
That's
It's not a
offensive.
branzino
I'll make you a
deboned
pesto pasta.
table
Next time
side.
you hit me up. I'll make you pesto pasta.
Okay, I was gonna ask you that too. With the stuff that you make, because like
I'm still upset about it.
the cool thing about
We're still talking about it.
the cool thing about what you do is it inspires. Like Jeremiah will send me a video. What's the guy you really like? The Italian dude.
I don't know his name because it's so Italian, but his phrase is like the sound of love.
The
Like
sound
the
of
way
love.
the pasta. Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
dude, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
This guy's a G. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
you know what I mean? He's just like he's kind of like
the
fucking
sound
the
of
pasta a
love.
little bit.
Yeah.
He's like
I
really
just love
moving his
him.
body.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
it's
love him.
But the
fucking
cool thing
intense.
is you can watch a video like that, which is what people do with yours, and then they're inspired to cook something at home.
Mhm.
Like that's the coolest part about I think what you do is you're inspiring other people like Jeremiah that can watch your video and be like, I'm gonna try that. I would never in a million years try that, but because you did it, I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I mean, my like I think career is bundled into three components. So like the first thing that I do. I started a business 7-8 years ago called Plant People. We make functional herbal and mushroom gummies for sleep, stress, mood, etc. We sell them in Whole Foods. We sell them in Erewhon. We sell them in Sprouts. That is a huge something I'm very proud of. Right, it's been a labor of love for 8 years.
I didn't know that. Congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. We bootstrap the business. We're in a lot of retailers, great Amazon business, great online business, and most importantly, helping people. Certified B Corp, regenerative agriculture, really high quality things, or products 5 to 15 times more kind of potent and therefore effective than other products, specifically gummies on the market. So really being able to show up and help people. And I brought some for you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So these are some of them. This is what I had in my car.
All right. So we have a 5-star review. The guest has a 5-star. So is this what you're using?
This is my 5-star. Yeah. I love the sleep ones. So they're melatonin free. We use saffron, GABA, reishi, corydalis, passion flower, and chamomile. So they're really gentle, beautiful.
I need to sleep.
Yeah. So you got to here. I mean, yeah.
The melatonin, I feel like
I'll send you guys whatever.
If I have melatonin, I feel like I'm groggy the next day.
Yeah, and they're delicious. They're sugar free. They're gluten free. They're vegan. Like they're really, really beautiful. It's kind of an expression and reflection of like my upbringing. Right?
Zero sugar
with these zero sugar.
I'm huge with that. When I go, like it's crazy. You'll go to Whole Foods or Erewhon, and a lot of stuff still has
so much sugar.
It's like this is the healthiest grocery store you can go to, and they have. I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot, but 6 grams added up.
Yeah, you add it up.
It's a lot of sugar,
especially if you're like taking a daily supplement, whatever.
Yeah.
So Plant People is something I'm really proud of. Checker Hall is something I'm really proud of. It's a beautiful restaurant. The food is playful and abundant and seasonal and delicious. It's like there for enjoyment. And so big flavors. I'm excited for you guys to come in. And then I do these videos, these cooking videos, which is, a labor of love.
You're
often,
so good at it. Like,
thank you.
It's almost like, oh yeah, you won the TV show. And then you're like, actually, pretty good in front of the camera.
Yeah, I mean, I've done the TV thing was before social media really.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. But I've always kind of had this thing. I worked at Bon Appetit magazine. I did like a lot of the branded videos for them. And
I love Bon Appetit, man. I mean, I watch all their YouTube videos. I mean, so I learned cooking from YouTube, from watching videos like yours, watching videos like The Sound of Love guy.
Yeah.
And I just kind of like, I'll see what they do, and then I'll just kind of do theirs with my own little vibe.
Yeah.
That fits
and
me.
he's like very good at it.
Yeah.
I try to.
You were not you're not beginner status. You're over there with a razor blade cutting garlic for an hour.
Well, when we were talking about this thing,
Goodfellas.
You go for it.
When we were talking about this, we were like, oh, we should cook. So we should cook.
I would love to.
We should do a thing.
Honestly,
We should do a collab.
Yeah.
But I think that's a great way to learn, right? Like there's so many different ways of learning, right? There's the intense way of working in a restaurant or going to culinary school. There's a recreational way of learning. I mean,
I take chopping skills on YouTube, like with my hands.
Oh yeah,
like
you're
with
curling the fingers.
Practice makes
I've gotten kind of.
I'm sure you're great at it.
You know,
I'm sure you're great at it.
I'm okay.
I helped Jeremiah. He goes, I said minced, Judah, minced. I'm like, yes, chef.
He was like, we were doing peppers, and he was
That's
like, yo,
funny.
is this good? I was like, Judah, I said minced, bro, not like complete like
Yeah.
Lego
No,
size.
that's a large dice. my dude.
Yeah, short. That was minced.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's like, look, there's many ways, right? And some of the best food you have or the best flavors you have, comes from someone who's just, never went to culinary school, never worked a restaurant, right? They have a little mom and pop spot or whatever. So there's many ways to, slice an onion. Although I think there's one or two.
I was gonna say I cut an onion one time, and he was like, "What?" He's like, "What are you doing?" And I do the little side thing. You turn it.
Is there
cutting onions wrong my whole
at
life?
some point? This is like my experience. I want to see hear what you have to say. Like the whole onion crying thing. I've tried. I do it the way at least I've been shown. Even after one or two of them, like it's inevitable. It's gonna hit me. Like I've not been able to avoid like bawling, like cutting onions, like because I'm going like, how do I do it? Like cut it down. You leave it on. You like dun 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 dun. After like two, my eyes are just like fried.
Well, so here's what I do.
I have glasses now. I'm like
goggles,
Bill Nye in there. Like
I mean, sorry. So what I do is, first off, it depends on the age of the onion. So like an older onion, it's been sitting out, it's just going to be a little more volatile. But what I'll do is I'll slice it the exact way that you did, and then I'll move it to the side, and I'll put a wet paper towel over it.
Over it.
Yeah. So just cover it just with a wet paper towel, and then you're not getting all the
fumes from it.
It's when you're like, because you're too in, you have a lot of chopped onion, you got a lot of surface area there, and it's just kind of just
frying up
smacking
as you do.
My little niece, she's like 1.5 years, and if anyone's, because my sister, she has like a little kid kitchen.
Yeah.
It's like my little niece eats like the craziest, most developed palate ever. And if someone's crying, she'll go, cutting onions. Because every time my
That's
sister
funny.
cuts. So if someone's crying in like
just
at a
regard
coffee
way.
shop, she's like, cutting onions.
Oh,
That's funny.
And my
That's
sister's
cute.
like, yep, cutting onions.
Cutting onions.
Okay, so we were talking the other day about like different cities and what they bring to the table with
Yeah.
food, and had a conversation with another chef about it. So I want to give you like a blind ranking of cities and see what you think of where they would fall.
Yeah, dude.
Okay,
I'm probably gonna be wrong.
but that's the point of the blind ranking.
And I will
you don't know
admit
what's coming next.
Okay.
So number 1, you can rank it 1 through 5, 1 being the best. Paris.
3.
Okay. New York City.
Can I change?
No, that's locked in. It's locked in. You can punt that one, you know?
Wait, I can put it.
Yeah, no, you can put it at the end, you know?
We can come back to New York.
Okay, come back to New York.
It's going to be.
Oh,
But
okay,
then
we're
I
gonna-
get to know, but then
Yeah,
but
okay.
then doesn't that take
We'll
away
give
the
you
point?
one. We'll give you one you get to come back
Okay,
to.
okay, fine.
Mexico City.
Okay, all right, fine. I'll go Mexico City 2. I'll go New York 4.
4.
Oof.
Ooh, yeah,
Whoa,
bold.
I
Because
wouldn't
now
say
you
that.
got London.
Believe it or not, never been to London, so I'm saying 5.
5.
Okay.
And then your last one, Tokyo.
Number 1. And that I will stand
That's
by.
good. That's good.
So I'm going Tokyo, Mexico City, Paris, New York, London. I think that's accurate for me.
It's funny.
That seems fair.
That's a great.
good
honestly, that's a
list.
good. That's a good
blind
list.
ranking
Yeah.
list,
The person, the chef I was talking with is like Rome, and then we were talking about it earlier,
Bro,
And you
no.
said that you're like, I'm getting the same thing everywhere I
Every
go.
time.
and listen,
how much,
food in Rome is great, but like on day 3, you're just kind of like you're just tapped out of pasta
bro,
and carbs
right?
to some degree.
The alla Roma, like how much guanciale and
How much
pasta-
amatriciana can I have?
Exactly.
How much, like
I know. I actually found I was like, give me a vegetable.
Yeah,
Like maybe I was going to the wrong
facts.
place, but I'm like,
No,
give me a
no.
fresh vegetable, give me a salad, give me a squash
That's
blossom.
so
for
true.
God's
Okay,
sake.
that's one thing I
It's
love.
possible.
Your videos are
Something,
crazy because
bro.
you'll make something with a food I've never even thought about you using.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what?
Like most of the vegetables in your videos, I'm not like I go to the grocery store. I'm like, I'm gonna get a steak and some broccoli, and then I
gonna
watch
go
a video of yours, and I'm like, wait a minute, people cook these?
Yeah,
like
I'll go- I
rhubarb
gotta
and-
go
Yeah,
more
rhubarb,
obscure.
parsnip, or
Maybe that's a good angle. Maybe I'll do more obscure veggies or something. But yeah, I mean, the stuff I come up with, it's just like I'm just like, I guess I should make something.
and that's just
So
is
I
that
do.
strictly you? You have no other outside influence. You're like, what can I cook today that would be interesting?
Kind of, yeah.
And you don't have a recipe that you're going off of?
Well, sometimes I like to try to make it. I think the things that have done the best for me is like when there's a lot of utility. It's like very clear recipe learning. Because the thing about the
Yeah.
food media space that I find difficult, and I'm trying to navigate open to suggestions, is like there's so many people doing it.
I want to talk about this a little
And
bit
there's
more
so
too.
many people like
That was
you,
my next
you never
question.
taste it, so you don't know if it's good.
Yeah.
Right? Like how many of these like recipes are actually tested? Most of them aren't even recipes. They're just like visual
People are just making
mashups.
stuff up.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, okay, it's like a just pop, 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 and it like I'm like, this is millions of views. I'm like, what did I learn from this? I guess like
Yeah.
pulled pork with slaw is good. Like, yeah, duh.
But also
Like-
the person making it, what's their like? No, you're
Their
right. No
cred.
one tastes it.
Right.
So like,
no one
what's
needs
your
it.
credibility?
Or
Why would
they
I
taste
watch
it at the
you?
beginning of the video? Go,
I've talked about this. I was like,
The
what?
editing.
Like, what
Oh, they
makes
throw it at the
people,
camera.
reviewers, like, what makes you the judge of how good this is and isn't?
bro, don't get me started on that.
You know, like Matt James is going there like, this place is. I'm like, dude, sit down. No, like. Of like, I think what social media has allowed
Mhm.
influencers or personalities to kind of come in
Sure.
and help. But sometimes I'll see someone's review and like we've all fell victim to it. We'll go, I eat it. I'm like, wait, why
Yo,
am
this
I
was
even,
trash.
why am I even listening to this
Right.
guy?
Well, I
Or,
actually, you know what
I mean?
I've stopped doing? I've even stopped asking servers what I think their favorite thing is.
I completely
I
agree
agree
with
with
that.
that.
I'm like,
Yo,
why the fuck would I trust you more than I would trust
This is so
myself?
true.
I'm like, what am I doing listening
This
to
is
you?
so fast.
you're
Because they're
just
gonna
like-
give you
you're
what
just
they're
an
pushing.
actor.
They're just,
Sorry, but
right,
you
but
know
they
what I
are.
mean?
They're like the
Like-
chef's like, yo, we need to push this, and that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna push that night. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the best thing on the menu.
No, and sometimes I'll say, hey, what's the most popular? But what I've learned,
can't ask
the
them
most
what theirs
popular,
is.
the most popular is not always the best.
You know what I'm notorious
You know
for
what I mean?
is asking and then not ordering.
For sure.
I'm like, what's your favorite stuff? Oh, cool. I'm gonna ignore everything you said, and I'm gonna go ahead and get
I
the bolognese.
completely agree. I completely
It's the most
agree.
overrated question is asking the server what their best dishes are, like what you think they are.
Yeah, what are the can't miss?
Yeah.
I will say, like,
How's the
having a
duck
restaurant-
confit?
Can't miss.
What's the can't miss? like, I will say, having a restaurant, there are some popular items, right? Like everyone orders our whipped feta and labna. We had this like tamarind brown butter, burnt
That sounds
honey
fire.
sauce with
yeah,
urfa
what?
chili. It's fire.
Do your waiters say
Everyone,
that? 'Cause then you
everyone
got me.
orders it. Every table orders it,
Yeah.
and every table should order it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
But then there's some sleepers, the things that I really like, which like, I find them very interesting, very different, like than a lot of the other flavors. And so I think it's valid, but I think that like being food literate, I am able to navigate a menu with,
Without the help
with
of a
my
waiter.
own,
That's so
on my
facts,
own
man.
volition. I will also say though that like it depends on the menu, because some menus are really boring. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess it's kind of a toss up. You know what I mean? Like,
Boring with just like not enough items in
or
each.
it's just like it doesn't have like so like when I went to Mother Wolf or whatever, there was like a puntarella salad, and I was like, I gotta get that, right? It's like a seasonal, it's a small thing, and I ordered it, and the server was like, oh, that's really great. No one orders it. It's the best thing, I was like, okay, nailed it, right? And I noticed when I just choose my own shit, I do great.
Yeah. How
But-
many times have you asked a server like, and they're like, "Oh, the burger's great." You're like, "All right, great." And the burger comes, and you're like,
And
What
Jeremiah,
am I-
before he even tastes, he goes, "It's on the wrong bun."
"Oh, if a burger's on the wrong
Ask
bun,
him.
it's over."
Yeah.
dude.
So
What
what's your
kind of
bun?
bun?
What's your bun burger
potato,
preference?
mostly like potato bun. I think
Okay.
brioche can be good, but it's tricky because brioche can be mad bready, and then the consistency, and the
ratio,
ratios
yeah.
are wrong. It's all
Yeah,
about
I agree.
it's all about
It's
ratios.
ratio.
It's all about
It's ratio.
ratio for me. And then like,
I agree.
and I think potato buns typically, I think, are more consistent than brioche buns because I've gotten so many bready ass stale.
It's double the amount of bread to meat.
Yeah.
Pretty
And
much.
you can't, even if you squish it, the bread is like
It's too much. Well,
That's
then
my-
you're not
that's
tasting
my
the burger.
thing.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
So I've gone through many different buns. My favorite bun, the one, the one,
yes, chef.
the one I fucking love is an English muffin.
Oh,
But I was
burger.
catching heat on it, dude.
Really?
Heat from the English muffin. I loved it. Whatever. Moved on. Did a few different ones. My current bun, kind of this hybrid. It's almost like it's brioche-esque, but it's not that dense. Very fluffy. It's almost like a croissant meets brioche. It's very
Whoa, a
interesting.
croissant
And
burger sounds great.
And it's a lamb burger with this kind of like herby slaw, some feta.
Are you making the bun yourself or you're
anchovies.
sourcing it? You're just
I have a friend making them.
there you
Yeah,
go.
my friend has this little bakery.
I actually changed the burger at my
So
little
good, man.
members club here that I'm a part of.
He complained every time.
I had it twice,
It's like we can't hear it again.
hoping it would be better, and they had like this little comment section where you can like comment on
Every night.
on
you're
certain
different.
things, and I
Every
said,
time.
"Hey,
Pass it
listen,
out to your table.
y'all, burger ratios are important.
Sure.
I've never complained. Y'all's burger is not it. The bun is completely wrong. Please
Yeah.
just order Martin's potato buns. Like at the very least, that'll fix your problems. Like if you want to like have a baker make some custom bun, cool.
Probably not going to be as good.
Probably not. They went to Martin's. The burger is completely changed. And
Elevated.
oh, dude, it changed the whole burger, man. It's
great.
fantastic now. Ratios are right. I'm happy, man.
Have you
good.
ever
I'm
been
proud- I'm
being from
happy for you.
from Boulder? Have you ever been to Wolf's Taylor?
No, I haven't. But I'm friends with Kelly, and I've always wanted to go.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Like
No,
they
it looks
literally when
sick.
they come to they have like little farms in Boulder and they source all their stuff that morning and like that day. It's
Yeah,
so cool. They're like
crazy.
the potatoes are from here and the greens are, which I love stuff like that.
You're in like a Portlandia episode.
Pretty much. What was the chicken's name?
Yeah,
and was
exactly.
the happy chicken?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's the
No,
only
it's
place
cool.
I've ever
That's
been
cool.
that was like that.
Yeah,
It
I
was
mean, I
pretty
think-
cool.
Yeah, when you get like good quality stuff, it's just like just so good.
How-
So much better.
How has DIY changed like your career path versus like you thinking you're going to be in a kitchen, probably being going to be in restaurants mostly, and then social media comes,
Yeah.
and now you can kind of work for yourself, right?
Sure.
You can build your own brand,
Cook what you want.
cook what you want. You see a bunch of chefs doing it. You see a bunch of amateurs. I mean, it's
Sure.
kind of like a free for
It's the
all.
Wild West.
Are you like, hey, as long as you're cooking, I'm happy? Or are you kind of like in terms of like other people, whether they're like, have the necessary skills to be a quote unquote chef?
Like, what's my take on the general food media
Correct.
landscape?
Correct. Yeah, because it's a lot to navigate
Loaded
through.
question.
Yeah. Who's
Somewhat.
listening? No, I mean, I think I've felt different ways at different points. I think at first, so I think generally it feels very commodified, right? So like I'm an entrepreneur. The way that I have always navigated is like, where do I find points of differentiation, right? And so I can say with confidence, my point of differentiation is that I'm quite experienced. You know, I've been working in restaurants since I was very young.
Yeah.
I've worked in all sorts of industry, from fast casual to fine dining. I am a very solid technical cook. You know, I have some creativity, but I don't like take it all that like too seriously. I can teach. Very hard to do that in 60 seconds, right? And when you're up against like things that are just kind of hacking our like our nervous system, or hacking our systems to like be like, oh, that's delicious. I think if people want to create, people can create. I would never, yuck someone's yum on like expressing themselves in a medium of food. It should be fun. It is playful. It's totally awesome. I think the question is, okay, like, what is the purpose, right? And I try to come back to that with my, content. I'm like, what am I doing this for? And I really do want to empower people to be able to cook something and to like do it well. And so I look for utility, right? I want someone to be able to use this skill in the future. I want someone to be able to actually make this recipe and stress less when they're entertaining. I want to share a story of why this ingredient is important or cool and perhaps underutilized. But I do think it's commodified. I think it's a lot of like visual recipes, which I find hard to get any value from. I think it's a lot of hands and pans.
Can I tell you my biggest
and a
pet
lot of
peeve?
sandwiches.
My biggest pet peeve is the slapping ingredients.
Yeah. Yo.
Yeah,
I
I'm like,
He also hates a sandwich too. He's not a big sandwich guy.
Yeah.
I like a, you're right.
But like a lot of online
I
sandwiches.
like a sandwich. A burger's a sandwich. but
Yeah, I like a sandwich, but like, listen, when people start slapping them and like they're sloppy, they think it's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the editing when they cut and each frame is a
Every morning I wake up,
Mayo, pickle,
someone's
like-
starting like a new pod or a new fucking cooking show with fucking slapping their fucking ingredients
Yeah.
everywhere.
No, it's true.
I'm just entering my Scrooge Hugh Grant.
No,
era.
dude, I agree. I mean, the one thing that really turned me off, actually, I mean, look, good for this guy. He's doing well, but he was doing fish. And you'd take these fish and he'd like spank the fish. And I'm like, I get it. Like, I get the bit you're doing. You're like kind of sexualizing the food, whatever. But like, you're supposed to be like delicate with fish. You know what I'm saying? Like, this was this was an animal. This is like a beautiful product. This is something where I think we need to like really treat it with reverence and respect.
Correct.
And I think when you like, and so the slapping of this and that, it's the complete opposite of professionalism.
Yeah, it's
Right. And that's
gimmicky.
what you learn when you're in culinary school. It's what you learn when you're in fine dining. You learn how to be a professional cook. What does that mean? It means working with a clean station, right? It means like being precise. It means being efficient. It means being, clean and like really taking care and kind of being methodical and professional in the way that you cook.
Yeah.
And I think you really notice that, right? And there are some people who are creators who are great chefs who are starting to make content, and you see it, right? You see it in the knife skills, you see it in their knives, you see it in their cuts. And then you see kind of the more recreational home cook. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, correct.
Right?
I agree with that.
That's what makes a market. But what's interesting is like the market seems to feed off of, some of the things that we just discussed.
I'm all for everyone's hustle. It's just, it's just so much of it being like,
There's so much of
like
it.
force fed to me. I'm over it.
That's why you got to find the videos of people that you like and then just follow theirs.
Yeah.
'Cause I mean, it's the same with anything. It's the same with music. It's the same with movies. Everyone has the access to make stuff now. And so you have to do your due diligence of finding out who you like, who's credible, and then follow that.
And it's great. And look, at the same time, like I'm all for, empowering people. So it's like, if you want to make some stuff, like go for it.
Yeah.
You want to make content, go for it. You want to like slap your food around, go for it. I don't give a fuck. I'm probably not going to do it, but like, you do you. I think the proof is in the pudding, right? The proof is in like, all right, did you make, like, if I make the food, is it going to taste good? If I go over and I taste your food, is it going to taste good? And it's a hard thing to do because it's a visual medium. You know what I mean? Social media. So
I don't know. I feel like I can smell some of your dishes through my phone. You're cooking. I'm like,
right. But and that's why I think the things that I'm most proud about are, I'm like, actually, you can come taste my food. You can come taste my food 7 nights a week between the hours of 5 and 11.
I don't think people realize how big, or maybe they do, the cooking industry is on social media. Like you go on TikTok, you go on Instagram, my feed is 90, 85% cooking videos.
what's the other?
Bro, I was on the plane. Do not
recreational
show
stuff.
more of this content. Do not. I do not like this.
Yeah, report. I got a girl.
Let me put it in let me save it to my tab just so I don't forget.
I have a friend who is so organized. This is total sidebar. He's so organized. And he's like, he goes on a dating app. He like matches with a person. He goes to Instagram. He then like saves that Instagram into a folder of Raya. You know what I mean?
Oh, mine is.
And then he has like, and I'm like, dude, I didn't even know you could use the save tab like this. Like, this is such a fascinating way of thinking.
Wait, so he can go
But-
into his Instagram, go to a folder, and it's nothing but girls he's matched with on Raya?
Yes.
Wow.
I need to utilize that.
That is a hack.
bro.
That's genius. I just
a hack.
screenshot their thing, and then if I save their number in my phone, like the little R, like in the emojis, the R that people put for, it's like the
Trademark.
trademark.
Oh,
thing.
yeah.
I do a little R in there, so boop,
That's
that's
creative.
that's a Raya person.
I will say,
And
I'm
guess
off-
what? If back in the day, if there was a Bumblebee emoji,
There would be one.
there.
So you
know,
basically modernized the old like phone Rolodex where like
Yeah, I
like,
thought it was just fascinating.
Let me
I thought it was fascinating. I was like,
Janet
wow, I
was,
would never
uh,
have thought to do that.
he's
I'm
efficient.
also-
He's not
yeah,
wasting any time.
yeah.
Exactly. I will also say, like, not being on dating apps, fantastic.
Yeah.
See, he's not a
Fantastic.
dating app. He was on Raya for
Fantastic.
like a week and then hated it.
I was on
Fantastic.
Raya and
look,
Hinge for like a month and a half, and I was like, "This is awful. Oh my god."
It's too
I just
much.
am like when you find like when I find a connection, it's like I just want to be in the connection until it like doesn't work. But anyways, that's a whole other thing, and hopefully it does work, right? But anyways, what we were talking about before is like the cooking videos. There was this person on my flight. I flew back from Minneapolis yesterday, like whole flight
Whole flight.
looking at cooking videos.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say, like, are you what's the impetus here? She was saving it and this and that, and it was just fascinating.
So like Judah knows this, Courtney knows this a little bit. I've been working very hard and closely. I want to open my own coffee shop. I love coffee. I love matcha. I've been researching it for over a year and a half now, including offering these like very like memorable bites, trying to figure out what I'm going to do. So I'm
Cool.
trying to put on like a cap of, okay, I visit almost every coffee shop in this city. Do they provide me experience? Are they thoughtful in what they're providing food wise? Like when I walk into a cafe or coffee shop, I'm thinking, what do I want? Like what do you offer me other than your typical croissant or scone? And even if you do offer that, how thoughtful is it in terms of what you put in it? And so now it's all my whole Instagram feed is just like all these different baking recipes and all these different like very thoughtful Copenhagen like pastries and coffee and matcha and where to source it from, and it's just so incredibly nuanced in terms of like if you want to really try and separate yourself from the crowd. I think you got to get really thoughtful with your offerings and then provide a real experience for people.
I would agree.
yeah, every place we go into, you're clocking 8 different things.
I am,
I'm
yeah.
like, that was pretty good. And he goes, I don't know this. I'm like, damn, I didn't realize that.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing, whether it's a coffee shop, a restaurant, or content, right? It's like to be thoughtful is, I would say we all agree.
Yeah, doing it
important.
mindfully.
Otherwise, like it just kind of part of the noise.
Yeah.
I want to ask Gabe, like, what do you think for someone like Jeremiah who like wants to start their own restaurant or cafe or coffee shop? Like, what do you got to have, and like, what's gonna make it successful, or like, what will make it flop right away?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have a whole kind of economics like model in my head that like I kind of check things out. I think it's like, to me, top line's super important. Like, you just have to be doing numbers, especially in California. Rent is expensive, minimum wage is expensive, like labor is expensive, food is all so expensive. And then on top of whatever it is that you're doing, add another 25% for benefits. Like it's just so expensive.
Yeah.
So, part of what we talk
Well,
about is
my
like-
dreams.
no, I mean, no, but it also is very feasible.
No, for
right?
sure, for
It's
sure,
very
for sure.
feasible. And I think the question is, where do you want to sit within the operation? Small footprint restaurants or places, yes, they're super cool. And I'm always tempted to like do it, right? I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this is a sexy little wine bar, like fucking 15 seats and some outdoor space,
Yeah.
and, pour natural wine or whatever.
And then you're
and,
like 15
have
seats,
some
that
dish-
equals this amount.
And then
of
I'm like,
money.
right. And then you start doing the numbers and
Yeah.
you're like, do I have enough top line to even pay a general manager?
Yeah.
Or like, do I have to be the general manager? Right. So I think that there's this, a lot of these smaller places like you see, and I'm not, don't hold me to all this because I'm sure there's so many different ways people make it work. But I think it's important to have enough, volume that you then have enough of the pie to hire really good management.
Yeah.
And that you as the owner are not necessarily being the day-to-day manager unless you want to be the day-to-day manager. I think it's nicer to have the choice and also to let people who have like the expertise in those things really, hone in.
I want to be the barista.
Yeah. Well,
to be honest. I just want to work there from whatever to whatever. I want to pour people their coffees, even though I'm the owner or part owner, let's say. I want to be the barista. I already have a whole thing.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, I would love if you were my barista.
I could see you as a barista, and on a busy day, someone's like, "I asked for almond milk," and I could just see you throwing it away. I could see your customer service.
No. Customer
towards
service.
the end of the day, just dwindling. I asked for and you're like, "Oh yeah."
No, as long as I'm not.
Oh
yeah, you did. Get the fuck out of my.
As long as I'm not fasting, I won't be hangry. Like pouring you a fucking mean ass cappuccino because I'm pissed, I'm hungry.
So I guess in short, without going, we could have a whole other sideline conversation about it. But in short, I think just backing into the numbers to be like, what's rent? What percentage of top line is the rent? Right? It's like, is it 10% or less? Okay, that's good. Now my labor is how much food am I serving? What does it mean to prep that? What does it mean to
Is it being prepped on site? Or do I have to get
right?
cloud
Or
kitchen?
what's happening, right? And then so looking at the service operation, and then figuring out just is the juice then worth the squeeze for a singular location?
No question.
Right?
And rent's crazy.
It's crazy.
He knows I've been looking for 8 months.
But I also have my eyes on doing an all day kind of cafe thing. So
you know what I realize?
I'll share it
more
with
and
you.
more?
It's a pretty cool spot.
Regardless of what the field is creatively, it's 25%, maybe less of what is creative, and then just the business of it. And I don't care if you're a painter, I don't care if you're a chef, if you're an actor. The art is this size, and there's all this other logistics that you have to figure out in order to be an artist.
Totally. Well, it's something that I've really learned over the last few years, especially now, really having kind of what I would say my own place. And there's partner, Dalton is my business partner and an incredible partner to do this with, but
which is important.
Incredible. You need to have gotta have partners.
No, I didn't interrupt you before you go. Is my godfather owns a relatively successful, huge hospitality company in New York. Owns tons of restaurants, and he's a New Yorker. He is no bullshit. So, every time I'm with him, he's in litigation. Yeah. Every time I'm with him, he owns a whole company. He doesn't even take a profit because he has a whole separate company that makes all his money. Yeah, it's $100+ million a year business that he's in the restaurant industry. Every time, Judah, I'm with him, he's suing somebody. Why? He works with these big
he's being sued.
He works with these big chefs.
Fall of this or that.
Oh, really?
Dude, it's it is so insane.
I remember he was on the phone. Someone had a really crazy scheme for months, stealing cash out of the register. Yeah. And they just figured it out, and they had a backlog how long it had been happening for and how much money had they stolen. And I'm just my goodness.
Bro, the stories that I have, even in the last few, you would not even believe.
Yeah,
really. It is, I think a cafe is slightly different.
And well, now you have touch phone stuff.
Yeah. For
I mean, when Ronnie did his back thing of me, he was like, Judah, you didn't make any money tonight. I'm like, sorry, Ronnie.
Right. Well, you have to have trust. You have to trust people. There's so much human kind of error. But I've always wanted. I think daytime. I think cafe. It's a different model
for sure.
But how many $5, $6, $7 cups of coffee do you have to sell to make? I mean, we could do the math right now. What do you want to make? If you want to do $2 million a year, right? How much is that a week? How many cups of coffee is that then a day? Right. And it becomes
it's almost $10,000 a day you have to print, right? Almost you're doing minimum 400 cups of coffee.
And that's hoping that you have a location where it has the foot traffic.
I mean, if you're doing matcha, that's $8, $9. You know what I mean?
You were just doing a beautiful mind thing over there, bro. What the fuck? How'd you just do it?
Beautiful mind.
Saying it it's you know what I mean?
Yeah, when they go into the bar and it's just all these coffees with different strings connected.
I'm Zach
Galifianakis. Plus 150 over there times 45 minus
4 matches every 2 minutes at a $9 price point.
Plus or minus.
Exactly. What's your?
I've seen a lot of people's numbers in front of the industry because friends and relationships, and so I kind of have a general idea of what is what to get to 2 to 4 to 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have a couple of friends in the cafe coffee industry that are just absolutely killing.
Yeah.
Killing. Like they're doing 15, 20 a day.
Yeah.
It's a lot of coffees.
I mean,
A lot of coffees. But then it's
crushing
like, you know, and then it's just like, okay, how does that work in a city like LA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you just don't have the foot traffic or the density. And like, right. So it's just a slightly
Very
different
true.
model. Like, you know,
And they're still
They're just
taxing you $15K a month
Yeah.
for
and
rent.
it's
You're
just
like, wait,
it's
I don't even
insane.
have the foot traffic for this.
Yeah, New York
Right.
City, you walk down Broadway, you're passing like
Yeah.
some incredible coffee shops.
Yeah.
You're driving everywhere here, which makes it
Yeah. So then it's like, where would you want to do it?
I've looked from I've looked from West Hollywood all the way to Los Feliz, Silver
Mm-hmm.
Lake area. I'm open to anything in between, pretty much mostly. I haven't found anything.
Yeah.
I've seen multiple.
Because you have
multiple
there's like
places.
3 areas. You have Abbot Kinney, Stretch of Sunset, and like Larchmont, walkable.
Yeah.
But other than that, like you're driving to.
Yeah. And then, I mean, that's why I like Highland Park. Cause like,
I love Highland
You
Park,
know, that's
yeah.
where Checker Hall is. Like,
Yeah.
we're on Fig. You can walk. York has some walkability. Eagle Rock has like a small little pocket.
Yeah, Eagle Rock's rocking right now, right?
Los Feliz is like interesting, but I don't find, you know, Hillhurst or Vermont that inspiring.
I agree.
You know, it's
Yeah.
interesting. It's so interesting. Larchmont, cute,
Yeah.
you know,
But
always
also
would love
probably very
passing in.
expensive
Yeah.
too, you know?
Extreme.
I know. It's, you know, kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's such a strange industry.
I
But
don't love the West Side. Like I like it as a to
Mhm.
visit, but I don't want to really go over there
Mhm.
personally. I just want to be from like, I don't know, Westwood on over. Whether that's from Westwood to Glendale, like anywhere in between, like
Yeah.
it's cool. My friend, a friend of a friend, just opened up a bar on West Adams. I know they're trying to get West Adams going.
yeah, West Adams
I went to
seems
his
kinda-
bar. It's called Damn I Miss Paris is the name of the bar. And it's like super chic and fun. It's a black owned bar. He's like a stylist, and
Cool.
it was just like I was like, damn, I hope this area is a kind of a cool area. It's
Yeah.
very central. You can kind of go anywhere
Yeah.
within 20 minutes.
I agree.
You know, so I have looked on West Adams, but I'm just hoping like the right space comes, or I can find a space that, you know, maybe isn't being used from
Mhm.
7 a.m. till 4
Right. And just like activate.
that allows me to like do enough of my own branding inside or outside to like separate it, you know, but it's complicated.
Are you doing art? You doing Rosettas?
No. What do you mean?
Like when you're pouring your cortados?
Oh, right now I'm
Are you like doing the
Nah,
swan?
my,
and shit?
my heart
Can't do it
game
all.
is like, I'd say my heart game is like, okay.
Okay.
I need to like actually go to barista school for like a month and like do
Yeah,
it
you just got to get
proper.
the reps. Me
Yeah.
too. I've been trying to do it for so long.
I have a steady hand, man.
What do we think? What do we think of like? Okay, you just cool name. Damn, I miss Paris. I feel like there's this whole like segment of bars and restaurants that fit into that naming convention.
Mm.
I have like 4 different
you know what I'm
things
saying?
where I know I could name a coffee shop or a restaurant that thing. I almost don't want to say it. One of them is my sister's place. I want to name a
My
restaurant.
sister's place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Damn, I miss Paris.
Because I
My
literally,
sister's place.
I was
Sounds
inviting
good.
him over one time. I was like, yo, you want to come over to dinner at my sister's place? He goes, I've never been there. I was like, no, my sister's place. He goes,
Right.
oh, like your sister's house. I was like, yeah. But he thought it was the name of a restaurant. I was like,
Or like in Philly, they have Middle Child, right? Like that's kind of,
Yeah.
you know, they have like these cool little unique, fun, quirky names, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're like kind of like sentences.
They are.
go get him, Tiger is like a movie.
Go
quote.
get-
Right. Go
yeah.
get him, Tiger.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm trying to think. Like I kind of want to like brainstorm. a
baby's
few.
all right. All right.
It's
So
cool.
before
Very
we
memorable.
wrap
Yeah,
up,
memorable.
what
Yeah.
is, if you could, do you have like a favorite movie about cooking? Like I have one that Jeremiah showed me. I'm not gonna say it 'cause I
Really?
don't want to ruin yours. But do you have one like, do you like Chef or Burnt, or do you have a
Mm,
movie in that realm that you really like?
And do you kind of smirk when you see these movies and you kind of watch it and you're like the bear, you're like, huh. Like,
I didn't watch The Bear. I
mm.
watched the first season, and I was like, I don't want to hear him yelling about Uncle.
The anxiety is
anymore.
nuts.
Yeah, you're
in
like,
that.
dude,
I'm like Uncle.
I
like I
live
don't know,
this.
or cousin.
Cousin,
I'm like,
cousin.
oh God, cousin. Like, oh, stop. Oh. Uncle.
It's a lot.
Uncle
It's a
on
lot of
cousin.
yelling.
Enough.
Season 1's hard to get through.
Uncle on cousin, enough.
Enough. Jeez.
Uncle on
I'm like, come
cousin.
on. Oh, jeez.
Uncle on cousin.
I'm glad that landed.
Okay, so for instance, he showed me one. It's called The Taste of Things.
Mm.
I've wanted to see the taste.
Wonderful.
Oh my
It's
gosh!
wonderful.
There's
That movie's so
From a
good.
chef's point of view,
I'm gonna
watch
go home
it,
and watch
and
it.
then I want to hear. Like, I
It's
think they were
wonderful.
really
I'm gonna
cooking
watch
for the first 20 minutes. Is they're cooking?
Like there's like
It's
no
real.
It's very
talking.
like romantic.
It is. It's all in like, I think, Renaissance area of France time period. And the first 20 minutes, just like no speaking. Everyone's just whipping up the craziest meal.
That's sick.
Unreal. And you being a
Baked
chef,
Alaska.
I watched with my sister.
Setting it on fire.
Love
It's
the baked.
crazy.
I love setting shit on
My
fire.
sister was like, they're making that.
I've never really had a baked Alaska.
My sister, Alaska, she knew every single thing they were cooking.
Wow.
Wow.
Like, she was like, oh, they're making this and they're making that. I'm like, holy cow.
That's why I want to eat at your sister's place.
Yeah. You'll love it. My little niece will be this little sous
I
chef
could have took that
with the
mad
onions.
dirty. I was about to, but I didn't.
There's this Japanese film. It's like, I got to look it up. I don't have my phone, but it's like, maybe you could help me
Courtney,
look this up.
will you look up this
it's
movie?
like, it's like Topo or Topo. It's like a ramen. This guy, it's a Japanese food film. It has to do with ramen. Super interesting. Very
Good?
cool. Yeah.
With ramen?
I feel like I'm on a real podcast.
Hold
I'm
it,
like, let's
yeah.
bring it up. Let's
Yeah.
bring it up.
Yeah, Joe Rogan.
pull it up.
Yeah,
It's
Joe
real, yeah,
Rogan.
Joe
Joe
Rogan,
Rogan.
yeah.
Yeah. Could you?
Yes.
How do you say it?
Tampopo.
Tampopo. What is that
Tampopo.
about?
Interesting.
I saw it years ago.
Yeah. Bring that mic
I
in,
saw
Court.
it years ago, but it was something memorable for me.
Tampopo literally means dandelion. Is a 1985 Japanese comedy film written and directed by Juzu Itami and starring a lot of names I can't pronounce.
Mhm.
The publicity for the film calls it the first ramen western, a play on the term spaghetti western.
What?
ramen
Okay,
western.
I need to watch that.
Is that our new concept? The
Yeah.
ramen western
The
over
ramen
on,
western.
Yeah,
on
what?
Sawtell?
I was just gonna say on Sawtell.
Exactly.
Okay, then
We're
yours.
pretty
I stole
close to Little
yours.
Tokyo
Oh, really?
right now.
Oh, yeah. I guess you guys are technically. You mean we're
I mean, right now, sitting here.
Oh, you mean
Yeah.
right here? Yeah,
We're
yeah,
close
yeah,
to
yeah,
Little
yeah.
Tokyo.
I went to a place last night I had never been to. Solita? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, in Chinatown.
In Chinatown?
Yeah.
It was Philippine. How do you say that? Filipino?
Filipino.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Incredible. I love, like you said, trying stuff that's not like white people.
Did Judah just say, how do you say Filipino?
I just didn't know if there was some like
Politically
Philippine or
Yeah,
something,
is he
yeah.
Philippine? It was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, but Filipino. Yeah,
It was
okay.
so
Yeah, Filipino
delicious.
was the bomb.
What if you had to pick a movie? I already stole yours. What would your like? What's a
Tampopo.
second tier cooking movie?
I mean, listen, I'm from Florida, so I love Chef because
great
Uh,
movie.
I grew up on Cuban food. Cuban sandwiches
That was
are
a good movie.
Cuban sandwiches are some of my favorite. Like it's not one of the few sandwiches I eat other than burgers is Cuban sandwiches or medianoches, and so that movie has like a nostalgic, feeling for me.
Great movie.
it's
I
one of
really
my-
enjoyed the menu. I was like on
the
the,
menu's
edge of my
intense.
seat that
Menu,
whole
yeah.
menu. I
Menu's-
couldn't guess it really.
I like needed a list. I needed like a blind ranking of food films.
Oh,
is
yeah.
what I need because I'm trying to recall.
I mean, you got
what food
Burnt.
films-
Burnt's
got
up
Burnt.
there.
That was good. It was
Ratatouille,
cool.
classic.
Ratatouille could be
Ratatouille,
good.
It's like at
also
one,
a vibe.
probably.
Yeah,
Julie
it's
and
probably this-
Julia, I really like.
Julia is cute.
It's a good
I
one.
have not
Yeah.
seen that.
It's like it's more baking, but
Um,
right?
Oh, by the way, I can't bake for shit because
It's
I'm the
hard.
type of guy who like I don't like
Yeah.
I don't like authority.
Yeah.
So I look at a recipe
Yeah,
like, man,
fucking
don't tell me
half
what
a
to do.
teaspoon.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
like a whole
Baking
teaspoon.
soda?
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
and then like my banana bread just collapses midway. I'm just like, yep, I'm done.
Yeah, I've gotten kind of good, kind of bad. I made an attempt at cooking. I've been seeing this woman, my girlfriend, and I tried to make her favorite little like cookie. It's called a Jaffa cake.
Jaffa
It's
cake.
from the UK. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna try this. I tried it like 3 times, and I like ended up getting the batter right, and I like piped it, and I like made this jelly, because it's like a cookie. I don't even know. I guess there was the litigation. Was it a cookie? Is it a
Yeah, look at
biscuit?
this
Like
up.
what is it?
Jaffa cake.
So it's like this little kind of sponge cake. I guess some people would call it a biscuit, cookie, who knows. And then there's a layer of like orange jelly, and then
Oh,
it has
I
a
love
topping
those.
of chocolate. And I tried making them, and I was like so proud of them. And I was like, here are the Jaffa cakes. Like, I'm sorry. And then
Wait, so something
Ah.
happened for this? I'm sorry.
And then just like a few days later, she was like, those were so bad. Like,
Really?
yeah, like you did not do a good job.
Oh, and you're like good at. I would
but
never.
I knew I didn't do a good job. knew
I would do
didn't
even
a good
worse job.
But it was one of those things where I was like, wow, like maybe I'm just not very good at baking.
It's a science.
It's
You know?
hard.
There's a few things that I've hit. Like I made this this sticky toffee kind of like date cake,
Mm.
but I cook it like I love tartatine.
Mm.
Tartatine,
Yeah.
right? So it's the caramely apples
Yeah,
with
the
the plum pastry,
tartatine.
and you flip it. So I kind of do that, right? I like do the caramel, I do the apples, then I pour the batter in, and then turn it out, and so you have this like caramely apple sticky toffee date cake that's a little bit
You flip it?
yeah. So
you
that
do the
apples
flip
on
and the apple
top.
on top and it's
And then,
caramelized.
and then you and it's
Oh,
and like
man.
that we now serve, and it just like it hits every single time. But I'm so much more of like a fresh fruit and berries.
Oh,
or
yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like a pavlova or something. Like I want like fresh.
That's my favorite dessert is cobblers, like
Yeah,
wild berry
love a
cobblers or a
cobbler.
peach cobbler.
Mm.
Sign me up.
Love a cobbler.
Peach
But
cobbler, a
yeah,
little cinnamon.
people who are
Strudel.
great at baking.
Strudel. I love nice strudels.
There's something about the strudel and Glorious Bastards when you like taste
Oh.
like it just looks so
When he,
good.
and he's like, wait for the
Yeah.
cream.
yeah, wait
He's
for
like,
the
wait
cream.
for the cream.
That's good. I don't know that scene in the film.
It's wunderbar.
Wunderbar.
That would be a fun thing to do accents while cooking like obviously you want to be appropriate.
Hey,
but
that's
like,
when you got to kick it to the next level.
but like, you know,
what
French
I mean?
food, you know,
Yeah.
do the French accent and do the singing, you know.
Oh, that's pretty good. You can
do
pull
like
that off.
There's gonna be like
some spatzel.
some spots.
Spatzel and schnitzel.
Some schnitzel.
He's half German.
I am, yeah. My mom,
Damn.
Let's hear it. Let's hear a little.
bro. I can't.
Welcome to the podcast.
Guten Morgen's all I know. Bro.
All I know is the Willy Wonka stuff.
The-
Augusta, save some food for later. Someone let me in, I'm starving.
Is Willy Wonka a food movie? I mean,
Yeah, I
could
would
argue.
It is.
It's got to be my top 5 then at that point.
Oh, yeah, Willy Wonka.
The OG one,
Willy
not
Wonka.
any of the new ones. The OG Willy Wonka.
Yeah, the OG's great. That's
Yeah.
what I'm talking about. The new ones are interesting. All right, we got to wrap.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank
Dude,
you.
appreciate you. That
It's
was
my
fun.
pleasure.
Tune in next week for another episode on Thursday. Thank you for listening.
Appreciate you, man.
Thank you for coming on, man.